Listen to me very carefully. The reason you aren't where you want to be isn't a lack of talent, a lack of resources, or a lack of time. It is a surplus of excuses. You have negotiated with your own laziness for far too long, and today, that negotiation ends. You are about to adopt the ruthless, uncompromising mindset of the top 1%. You will eradicate the weak voice in your head, you will outwork your doubts, and you will outwork your excuses. If you're looking for sympathy, turn this off now. If you are ready to finally do the work, let's begin.
Chapter 1. The Anatomy of a Weak Mind. We need to start by diagnosing the disease. Before you can conquer the world, before you can outwork your peers, and before you can build the life you claim you want, you have to look in the mirror and face the ugliest truth about yourself. You have to understand the anatomy of a weak mind. What does a weak mind look like? It doesn't look like a villain. It doesn't look like failure right out of the gate. A weak mind looks completely normal. It looks like you, sitting at your desk, scrolling on your phone, waiting for the right time. A weak mind is obsessed with comfort. It calculates every possible excuse before it even attempts the work. But the most dangerous characteristic of a weak mind is its reliance on a modern delusion, the lie of motivation. Society has sold you a massive, crippling lie. You have been brainwashed to believe that in order to do hard work, you need to feel like doing hard work. You think you need an emotional spark. You think you need to watch a video, listen to a song, or read a quote that suddenly fills your veins with fiery inspiration. You are waiting for the stars to align. You are waiting for your inner state to perfectly match the external task. Listen to me very carefully. Motivation is a scam. It is a fleeting, unreliable emotion designed to keep amateurs waiting on the sidelines. It is a sugar rush for the brain. Sure, it feels great when it's there, but the second the work gets boring, the second it gets hard, the second it gets lonely, that motivation vanishes. And what do you do then? The weak mind stops. The weak mind says, "I'm just not feeling it today." The weak mind retreats to the couch. Professionals do not operate on motivation. Elite performers, the top 1% of achievers in any field, operate on a completely different engine. Their engine is discipline. It is a cold, calculated, and ruthless commitment to the task at hand, regardless of the emotional weather inside their head. It's not about motivation, it's about execution. You must internalize a fundamental rule of human psychology if you ever want to break free from your own laziness. Here is the rule. Burn this into your subconscious right now. Action dictates feeling. Feeling does not dictate action. I'm going to repeat that because it is the core operating system of a winner. Action dictates feeling. Feeling does not dictate action. The weak mind operates backwards. It says, when I feel energized, I will go to the gym. When I feel inspired, I will write the book. When I feel confident, I will make the sales calls. You are putting the cart before the horse, and as a result, you are going absolutely nowhere. You do not go to the gym because you feel great. You feel great because you dragged yourself to the gym when you were exhausted. You do not write the chapter because you feel inspired. You feel inspired because you sat down, stared at a blank screen, and forced yourself to write the first terrible sentence. You did not make the calls because you were confident. You build confidence by making 100 calls when you were terrified. Action comes first. The feeling follows the action. Always. Let me paint a picture for you. Let's look at the real world. Imagine two builders. They are both entrepreneurs, and they both have the exact same goal. They both want to build a massive, towering skyscraper. They both have the blueprints. They both have the materials.
Builder A has a weak mind. He wakes up, looks out the window, and evaluates the weather. He sees gray clouds. He feels a drop of rain. He decides it's not the right day to lay the foundation. The soil is muddy. It's cold outside. He tells himself he will start tomorrow, when the sun is shining, when the temperature is a perfect 72 degrees and when his mind is clear. He goes back to sleep completely comfortable in his justification. Builder B wakes up. He looks out the same window. He sees the exact same gray clouds. He sees the freezing rain. He sees the mud. He feels tired. He feels unmotivated. He feels the exact same urge to go back to bed. But Builder B operates on a different frequency. Action dictates feeling. Feeling does not dictate action. Builder B puts on his boots. He walks out into the storm. He steps into the mud. He picks up the first brick and he starts laying the foundation in the freezing rain. His hands are cold. He is miserable. The work is ugly, brutal, and slow, but he is building. Fast forward 1 year, who owns the skyscraper? Builder B owns the skyscraper. Not because he was smarter, not because his blueprint was better, not because he had superior bricks. Builder B won because he divorced his actions from his feelings. He understood that external conditions are completely irrelevant to internal drive. Builder A is still waiting for the perfect day. Builder A is still searching for motivation. Builder A has nothing but a pile of excuses and an empty plot of land. You have a choice, right now, today, in this very moment. You can continue to be Builder A. You can continue to negotiate with the weather, with your tiredness, and with your lack of inspiration. Or you can become Builder B. You can step into the mud and lay the brick. You must kill the romantic idea that success feels good all the time. Success usually feels like exhaustion. It feels like frustration. It feels like repetitive, boring, unglamorous work done in the shadows when no one is clapping for you. If you wait for the applause to start working, you will die in obscurity. You don't need their permission. You do not need the universe to give you a sign. You do not need your brain to dump dopamine into your system before you start typing. You just need to move your hands. Stop checking your emotional pulse before you start your day. Stop asking yourself, how do I feel about doing this work today? It does not matter how you feel. The marketplace does not care how you feel. Your bank account does not care how you feel. Your legacy does not give a damn if you woke up on the wrong side of the bed. All that matters is whether the work gets done or it doesn't. This is where the separation happens. This is where the top 1% leave the rest of the world behind. That's the key. They master the art of doing the things they hate doing precisely when they hate doing them. They master the anatomy of a strong mind by forcing their body to act, knowing the mind will eventually surrender and follow. Remember the anthem. Let it echo in your head every single time you feel the urge to procrastinate. Action dictates feeling. Feeling does not dictate action. You will never eradicate laziness by thinking your way out of it. You can only act your way out of it. You have dismantled the lie of motivation. You understand that your feelings are no longer in charge of your execution. You have laid the first brick in the rain. But conquering the mind during the day is only half the battle. The true test of your discipline happens the moment you open your eyes. The way you handle the very first decision of your morning dictates the trajectory of your entire life. You survived the diagnosis. Now let's talk about your first daily surrender. Let's talk about the war taking place on your nightstand. Chapter 2. Stop negotiating with your alarm clock. The alarm goes off. It is dark. It is cold. Your bed is incredibly warm. This is the arena. The very first battle of your day does not happen in a corporate boardroom. It does not happen on a sales call, and it does not happen in the gym. It happens right here in your bedroom, in the pitch black, the exact second that sound breaks the silence. Most people lose the war before their feet even touch the floor. They lose because they engage in a negotiation. They bargain with a piece of plastic sitting on their nightstand. They bargain for 9 more minutes of unconsciousness. Listen to me very carefully. Discipline starts at dawn. Hitting the snooze button is not a harmless little habit. It is not just 5 more minutes of rest. It is the very first psychological surrender of your day. It is an act of treason against your own ambition.
When you set that alarm the night before, you made a promise to yourself. You set an intention. You outlined a standard for who you were going to be the next day. But the moment the alarm rings and you reach out to silence it, you break that promise instantly. You tell your subconscious mind that your goals are secondary to momentary comfort. You signal to your brain that your word means nothing. It's not about fatigue, it's about compliance. You are complying with the absolute weakest version of yourself, the version that wants to hide under the covers, the version that makes excuses, the version that will never achieve greatness. Every single time you hit snooze, you are casting a vote for mediocrity. You are actively practicing the habit of quitting. If you cannot even conquer your own blankets, how do you expect to conquer the marketplace? How do you expect to outwork your competition? You cannot. You have already taught your brain that when things get uncomfortable, your first instinct is to retreat. That must end today. You must establish a new baseline. Discipline starts at dawn. You must wake up and realize what you are doing. You are negotiating with a machine. You are debating your future with a clock. You do not negotiate with terrorists, and you must not negotiate with your alarm clock. The negotiation itself is the trap. The second you allow your brain to weigh the pros and cons of getting out of bed, you have lost the morning. Your brain is biologically hardwired to seek comfort and conserve energy. It will always give you a brilliant, highly logical reason to stay in bed. It will whisper to you, just 5 more minutes. You worked so hard yesterday. You need the recovery. These are lies. They are alibis. They are the enemy speaking to you in your own voice. You have a choice. Every single morning, the universe asks you a simple question. How badly do you want it? You can buy the lie or you can build the life. To build the life, you must sever the negotiation process entirely. Here is your behavioral instruction. This is what you must do tonight. Do not keep your phone or your alarm next to your bed. Put it across the room. Put it in the hallway. Put it in the bathroom. Make it physically impossible to silence that alarm without standing up and walking. The moment your feet hit the floor, the negotiation is over. Do not think, do not process, do not evaluate your tiredness. Just move. Gravity is your ally. Momentum is your weapon. Discipline starts at dawn. People look at champions and think they have some magical genetic disposition for mornings. They think Olympic-level athletes bounce out of bed at 4 a.m. with a massive smile on their face. They think greatness is joyful and easy for the elite. This is a complete delusion. Do you think a gold medalist whose body is broken, bruised, and sore from yesterday's brutal training sessions actually wants to get up in the dark? They do not. They wake up exhausted. They wake up hurting. Their brain begs them to sleep just exactly like yours does, but they rise anyway. Why? Because their commitment overrides their comfort. That's the key. The separation between the elite and the average happens in the dark, when nobody is watching and when the bed is at its warmest. They do not wait for the desire to wake up. They manufacture the motion regardless of the desire. They recognize that the pain of regret is infinitely heavier, infinitely more agonizing than the pain of a 4 a.m. wake-up call. Stop telling yourself you are not a morning person. That is a fake identity. It is a label you constructed to protect your own laziness. There are no morning people and night people. There are only people who execute and people who make excuses. The dawn does not care about your chronotype. The dawn only cares about your discipline. You must take ownership of the silence. The early morning is the only time of day when nobody is demanding your attention. There are no emails, there are no text messages, there are no crises to solve. It is just you, the silence, and the work. If you sleep through that silence, you are forfeiting your greatest competitive advantage. You don't need their permission. You do not need society's permission to be tired. You do not need the sun's permission to start grinding, and you do not need your body's permission to get out of bed. Your mind is the master. Your body is the servant. Command the vessel. Every time you rise when you don't want to, you build a callus on your mind. You build a psychological armor that makes you dangerous.
By the time the rest of the world is pouring their first cup of coffee and complaining about the traffic, you have already secured 3 victories. You woke up, you sweat, you worked. You are operating on an entirely different plane of existence. It's not about being a morning person, it's about being a disciplined person. You are the architect of your morning. You are the commander of your dawn. Stop negotiating with pieces of plastic. Stop validating your own weakness. Put your feet on the floor and attack the day before the day attacks you. Discipline starts at dawn. You have seized the morning. You have stopped the bleeding of your own potential at the start of the day. But waking up is only the prologue. What happens when the work stretches on and you start convincing yourself that you are just too tired to continue? You mastered your morning. Now let's talk about the lie you tell yourself when the sun is up.
Chapter 3: The Myth of Burnout versus the Reality of Rust. Let's talk about the word you use to justify your laziness: burnout. Society loves this word. The internet is obsessed with this word. It is the ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card for the modern era. You work a standard 40-hour week, you scroll on your phone for another 30 hours, you feel lethargic, and suddenly you diagnose yourself. You claim you are burned out. You tell your friends you need a break. You tell yourself you need to practice self-care. Listen to me. Stop lying to yourself. You are not a machine running at maximum capacity that suddenly blew a gasket. You are a parked car sitting in the driveway, rotting in the rain. You are not burning out. You are rusting out. You are tired from working too hard. You're tired from doing too little of what matters. We have an epidemic of exhaustion in our society today, but it is not caused by overwork. It is caused by a massive, crushing lack of purpose. Your brain is a supercomputer. Your body is a biological marvel designed for movement, exertion, and conquest. When you confine that system to a cubicle, then move it to a car, then park it on a couch to stare at a glowing rectangle, the system degrades. Inactivity kills. It kills your drive. It kills your testosterone. It kills your spirit. You feel drained at the end of the day not because you expended all your energy, but because you never generated any. It's not about being overworked. It's about being under-disciplined. When you lack the discipline to pursue a meaningful goal, your mind creates a fog of lethargy to numb the boredom. You are tired from working too hard. You're tired from doing too little of what matters. Look at the real world. Let's do a side-by-side comparison. Look at the aimless worker. They clock in at 9, they clock out at 5. Their work requires zero passion. They avoid extra responsibility like the plague. They do the bare minimum to not get fired. By 5:30, they are entirely exhausted. They collapse on the couch, order takeout, and binge-watch television for 4 hours. They claim they need to unwind. They claim they are recovering from burnout. Now, look at a high-level executive. Look at a founder building an empire. Look at an elite athlete. They are working 80 hours a week. They are managing crises, flying across the country, making high-stakes decisions, and pushing their physical limits daily. By all conventional logic, this person should be comatose, but they aren't. They are sharp. They are energized. They are firing on all cylinders. Why? Because momentum generates energy. Purpose generates energy. That's the key. The executive is feeding their mind with victories, challenges, and progress. The couch potato is feeding their mind with cheap dopamine and avoidance. The executive is on fire. The couch potato is rusting to pieces. You aren't tired from working too hard. You're tired from doing too little of what matters. You have been tricked into believing that energy is like water in a bucket. You think you only have a few drops to spend each day, and that hard work empties the bucket. You are dead wrong. Energy is not a bucket. It is a nuclear reactor. You have to turn it on. You have to demand power from it. When you demand nothing from your body and mind, they give you nothing in return. Resting is not the cure for your lack of energy. Effort is. If you feel tired all the time, the absolute worst thing you can do is lie down. You need to move. You need to pick up a heavy weight. You need to attack a complex problem. You need to sprint. You have a choice. You can continue to prescribe rest for a disease caused by idleness, or you can shock your system back to life with massive action. Stop labeling your boredom as burnout. Stop confusing a lack of direction with a lack of sleep. You aren't tired from working too hard. You're tired from doing too little of what matters. Here is your behavioral instruction. This is what you must stop doing immediately. Stop talking about how exhausted you are. Every time you say the words, "I'm so tired," you are programming your subconscious mind to shut down. You are giving your weak mind a verified permission slip to quit. Cut the word burnout out of your vocabulary entirely. You have not earned the right to use it. Next, you must audit your energy leaks. Where is your stamina actually going? It is bleeding out through hours of mindless scrolling. It is draining away through toxic conversations, junk food, and endless complaining. Cut the leaks. Redirect that time into a single, aggressively difficult pursuit. Start a business. Learn a complex skill. Push your physical body to the point of genuine muscular failure. Build a life that actually demands your energy. You don't need their permission. You do not need the world to validate your fake exhaustion. You do not need a doctor's note to tell you that scrolling on social media is destroying your soul. Take command. Stop rusting. The feeling of lethargy is simply your soul telling you that your current life is too small. It is a blaring warning siren. You are bored. You are underutilized. You are operating at 10% of your true capacity. You must realize that the cure for your fatigue is not a vacation. The cure is an obsession. The cure is a mission. It's not about seeking rest. It's about seeking discipline. Find your mission. Stoke the fire. Stop rusting away in the comfort zone. You aren't tired from working too hard. You're tired from doing too little of what matters. You have exposed the lie of burnout. You now understand that action creates energy and inaction creates decay. But what happens when you decide to take action and your brain immediately tells you that the timing is wrong? You found your energy. Now let's talk about the delusion that keeps you waiting on the sidelines forever. Chapter 4. Kill the Perfect Conditions Delusion. You found your energy. You stopped rusting away in the comfort zone. You decided that you actually want to make a massive impact on your life. But immediately, your brain throws up another defense mechanism. It looks at the calendar. It looks at your bank account. It looks at the current state of the economy, and it whispers a dangerous, seductive lie into your ear. Not yet. It tells you to wait. It tells you to wait for the perfect time. Let me be brutally honest with you right now. The perfect time is a myth. It is a hallucination. It is the ultimate coward strategy. You are waiting for a day that does not exist on any calendar in human history. Your directive from this moment forward is violently simple. Execute in the chaos. Let's dissect this lie you've been telling yourself. You tell yourself you are just being smart. You say you are planning. You claim you are waiting for full funding, zero risk, and perfect clarity before you launch your business, start the diet, or make the move across the country. That is pure garbage. You are not planning. You are hiding. Waiting for the right time is nothing more than a coward's strategy to delay failure. You are terrified that if you start now, you might fall flat on your face. You are terrified of looking stupid. So you use preparation as a shield. You sit in your air-conditioned room mapping out a business plan for a company that does not exist. You are playing business. You are not doing business. You are playing fitness by creating the perfect color-coded workout spreadsheet, but you haven't lifted a single heavy weight. You are lying to yourself. You are telling yourself that this endless preparation is progress. It is not. It is procrastination dressed up in a suit and tie. It's not about perfection. It's about discipline. You must act before you are ready.
If you wait until all the traffic lights in the city are green before you leave your driveway, you will never leave your house. The world is a messy, unpredictable place. There will never be a day with zero risk. There will never be a moment where the stars perfectly align to guarantee your success. Execute in the chaos. You have a choice. You can spend your entire life waiting on the sidelines for conditions that will never arrive, or you can step into the arena exactly as you are today, flawed, underfunded, unsure, scared. That's the key. The winners do not wait for the storm to pass. They learn how to fight in the freezing rain. They build the ship while they are sailing it.
Look at history. Look at the real world. The greatest empires and the most massive corporations were not built during periods of perfect economic sunshine. They were forged in the fire. They were born in the darkest, most uncertain times imaginable. Disney was founded during the Great Depression. Microsoft and Apple were launched in the middle of severe economic recessions in the 1970s. Airbnb was built during the 2008 financial crisis when the global housing market was collapsing and the world was panicking. Do you think those founders had perfect conditions? Do you think they had zero risk? Do you think they felt completely ready? Absolutely not. They had maximum risk. They had terror. They had every logical, rational reason to delay their dreams and wait for a better time, but they didn't. Greatness is forged in the chaos of adversity, not in the air-conditioned comfort of certainty. When you demand perfect conditions, you are demanding an easy life, and an easy life produces a weak human. Execute in the chaos. Here is your behavioral instruction. This is the transformation you must make today. You must stop saying, "I will start when..." Cut that phrase out of your vocabulary immediately. I will start when I have more money. I will start when the kids are older. I will start when the economy recovers. No, you start right now. You start with whatever broken tools you have. You start with whatever limited time you possess. If you only have 30 minutes a day, you build the empire in 30-minute increments. You must adopt the ready, fire, aim mentality. The amateur gets ready, aims, 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 and never fires. The elite performer gets ready, fires the weapon, sees where the bullet lands, and adjusts their aim for the next shot. They course correct in real time. You must stop researching and start doing. Information without execution is just intellectual entertainment. You are entertaining yourself with the idea of success instead of doing the dirty, gritty work required to actually achieve it. You don't need their permission. You do not need the economy's permission to get rich. You do not need the bank's permission to start grinding. You do not need society's permission to begin. You declare war on your circumstances today. You dictate the terms. Execute in the chaos. Stop tweaking your website logo for the 50th time. Launch it. Stop rewriting the first chapter of your book. Publish it. Stop waiting for the perfect moment to make the sales call. Pick up the phone and dial the number while your hands are shaking and your voice is cracking. The messy, imperfect action you take today is infinitely more valuable than the perfect plan you execute tomorrow. Tomorrow is a graveyard of broken promises. Today is the only arena you have. Chaos is the natural state of the world. Life will always be messy. There will always be a crisis. There will always be a bill to pay, a distraction to fight, or an unexpected tragedy to handle. If you condition your action on a lack of chaos, you will be paralyzed forever. You must rewire your brain to see chaos not as an obstacle, but as the very environment in which you operate. A shark does not complain that the ocean is wet and turbulent. It simply swims. You must not complain that life is difficult and conditions are poor. You execute. Execute in the chaos. You have eradicated the need for perfect timing. You killed the delusion that the seas will magically part for you. You are moving. You are acting. But the moment you step into the arena, you are going to get hit.
You are going to feel pain, rejection, and emotional turmoil. Your feelings will scream at you to retreat to safety. You mastered your timing. Now, let's talk about the absolute irrelevance of your emotional state.
Chapter 5. Your feelings are irrelevant to your success. You stepped into the chaos. You stopped waiting for the perfect day. You are in the arena, ready to work. But the moment you start moving, a new enemy appears. This enemy does not come from the economy. It does not come from your lack of resources. It does not come from your competitors. It comes from inside your own head. It is your feelings. We live in a society that worships emotion. You have been taught that how you feel is the most important metric in the world. You have been told to honor your feelings, to sit with your emotions, and to take a mental health day every time you feel a slight breeze of stress. Listen to me. If you want to join the top 1% of achievers, you must unlearn this toxic programming immediately. Your feelings are entirely irrelevant to your success. You must build a massive, impenetrable wall between how you feel and what you are required to do. You have to divorce your emotion from your execution. Why? Because the real world is utterly indifferent to your internal state. The marketplace does not care if you are sad. Your competitors do not care if you were tired. Your legacy does not care if you woke up uninspired. The bank will not accept your melancholy as a mortgage payment. The dumbbells in the gym do not care if you had an argument with your boss. They still weigh exactly 50 pounds. The objective reality of success demands execution, regardless of your subjective emotional state. It's not about emotional comfort, it's about disciplined execution. From this day forward, you need a new default response to your internal complaints. You need a violent, uncompromising command to override your weakness. When your brain says, "I am too tired today," your response is simple: do it anyway. When your brain says, "I feel sad and overwhelmed," your response is do it anyway. When your brain says, "I am just not motivated to work on this," you know exactly what to say. Do it anyway. Think about an elite professional. Think about a world-class trauma surgeon. Imagine that surgeon walking into the hospital at 3 a.m. They just got into a massive, emotionally draining argument with their spouse. They have a splitting headache. They feel deeply depressed. They are completely and utterly exhausted. Do they walk into the operating room, look at the patient bleeding out on the table, and say, "I'm just not in the right headspace for this today"? Do they cancel the life-saving procedure to go practice self-care and journal about their feelings? No. They wash their hands, they put on the sterile gloves, they pick up the scalpel, they execute. Why? Because a human life depends on it. They perform the necessary reps because failure is simply not an option. Their feelings are put in a box, locked away and ignored until the mission is complete.
You must treat your goals with the exact same life or death gravity. Your future depends on it. Your family's financial freedom depends on it. The ultimate version of the person you are supposed to become is dying on the operating table while you sit in the corner crying about how hard the work is. Stop coddling yourself. Adopt the surgeon's standard. That's the key. Elite performers separate their personal emotions from their professional execution. You must do the exact same thing. Here is your behavioral instruction. This is the transformation you must make today. Stop taking an emotional inventory before you do the work. The amateur sits down at their desk and asks, "How am I feeling right now?" If the answer is negative, the amateur quits. The professional sits down at their desk and asks, "What is the requirement right now?" The professional does the requirement, period. You have a choice. You can be a slave to your fluctuating hormones and fleeting moods, or you can be the master of your actions. When the alarm goes off and you feel the dread of the cold morning, do it anyway. When it is time to make the cold calls and your stomach is tied in knots with anxiety,
do it anyway. When you sit down to write and you feel totally empty and uninspired, do it anyway. Action does not require a positive mood. It only requires physical movement. You do not need to feel happy to type on a keyboard. You do not need to feel confident to speak. You just need to open your mouth and project the words. You don't need their permission. You do not need your feelings' permission to be great. You dictate the terms. You rule the vessel. Emotion is just weather. It rains, it snows, the sun shines. The mountain does not care about the weather. The mountain just stands there. Be the mountain. Look at the alternative. What happens when you let your feelings drive the car? You become completely unpredictable. You work out for 3 days because you feel motivated, and then you quit for 3 weeks because you feel sad. You start the business when you're excited, and you abandon it the moment you feel overwhelmed. That inconsistency is the hallmark of a loser. It is the signature of a weak mind. You cannot build an empire on a foundation of shifting sand. Your emotions change 50 times a day. If your execution changes 50 times a day, you will never compound your efforts. You will be stuck at 0 forever. You must become a machine. A machine does not care if it is a Tuesday or a Friday. A machine does not care if it is raining outside. You flip the switch and the machine works. Flip the switch in your mind. The next time you feel that heavy, lethargic wave of self-pity washing over you, recognize it for what it is. It is a test. It is the universe testing your resolve to see if you actually deserve the success you ask for. Pass the test. Do it anyway. Your feelings are liars. They are trying to keep you safe, comfortable, and ultimately miserable. Do not listen to them. It's not about how you feel. It's about what you do. You have mastered your internal weather. You have divorced your execution from your emotion. You are operating like a machine. But a machine can still be sabotaged from the outside. You have conquered the enemy within, but now you must face the enemies surrounding you, the people you call your friends. You mastered your feelings. Now let's talk about the brutal social cost of greatness.
Chapter 6. Isolation is the price of excellence. You mastered your internal weather. You divorced your execution from your emotion. You are operating like a machine. But a machine can still be sabotaged from the outside. You have conquered the enemy within. Now you must face the enemies surrounding you. You must face the people you call your friends. Excellence is a lonely road. The top 1% is not a crowded place. There is a reason for that. Greatness requires a toll that most people are absolutely terrified to pay. Isolation is the price of excellence. Most people are failing because they are dragging dead weight. You are trying to climb a sheer cliff face, but you have a massive iron anchor tied around your waist. That anchor is your current social circle. To ascend to the top 1%, you must ruthlessly audit your inner circle. You must cut the anchor. Look at the people you spend the most time with. Look at them objectively. Are they building empires, or are they complaining about their bosses? Are they waking up at dawn, or are they sleeping in until noon? Are they aggressively focused on their future, or are they entirely obsessed with the weekend? You cannot fly like an eagle if you are permanently surrounded by turkeys demanding your time. Turkeys do not understand the sky. They only understand the dirt. They peck at the ground. They complain about the weather. If you share your massive, terrifying vision with a turkey, they will not support you. They will tell you it is impossible. They will tell you to be realistic. They will tell you to slow down and join the flock. Listen to me very carefully. If they aren't pushing you up, they are pulling you down. There is no neutral ground in human relationships. Every single person in your life is either an engine propelling you forward or an anchor dragging you backward. It's not about being antisocial. It's about protecting your discipline. You must sever ties with the complainers, the lazy, and the time vampires. A time vampire is the person who calls you just to dump their emotional garbage into your brain. They want to gossip. They want to spread drama.
They want to steal your focus because they have zero focus of their own. Cut them off. You don't need their permission to leave them behind. You do not owe them your future. Your loyalty to your goals must be infinitely stronger than your loyalty to mediocre friends. Let's look at the real world. Let's look at the ultimate trap, the Friday night choice. The work week is over. Your average friend texts you. They want to go to the bar. They want to drink, complain about their week, and waste $50 on cheap poison. You tell them no. You tell them you need to stay home, read a book, and work on your business. What do? They guilt trip you. They call you boring. They say you work too hard. They tell you that you are changing.
They are right. You are changing. You are becoming dangerous, and your discipline makes them feel incredibly insecure about their own laziness. They try to drag you back down to their level of mediocrity because it validates their lack of effort. Now, contrast that average friend with a high-level mentor. Contrast that with someone who is actually winning at life. If you tell a multi-millionaire mentor that you are staying in on a Friday night to study, they do not insult you. They expect it. They demand it. They respect it. Proximity is power. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you hang out with 5 broke people, you will inevitably be the 6th. If you hang out with 5 lazy people, you will be the 6th. If they aren't pushing you up, they are pulling you down. You have a choice. You can choose the temporary, warm comfort of fitting in with the crowd, or you can choose the brutal, highly profitable reality of standing alone. Choosing to be alone is always better than choosing to be average. Solitude is the laboratory of greatness. It is the only place where you can build the skills that will pay you for the rest of your life. That's the key. The elite choose temporary isolation to build permanent freedom. The average choose temporary distraction and guarantee a lifetime of permanent struggle. Here is your behavioral instruction. This is the transformation you must make today. Stop apologizing for your ambition. Stop saying yes to events you hate just to please people who do not care about your success. Your time is your most valuable asset. Protect it like it is millions of dollars in cash. Execute a ruthless audit of your phone contacts right now. Look at your text threads. If a conversation is not about growth, money, fitness, or legacy, mute it. Walk away from the gossip. You must learn to weaponize the word no. Say it clearly. Say it without an apology. No, I cannot go out tonight. No, I am not watching the game. No, I am busy building my life. You do not owe them an explanation. If they aren't pushing you up, they are pulling you down. The weak mind fears isolation. It fears being left out. It suffers from the fear of missing out. You must flip that script completely. You must embrace the joy of missing out. What are you actually missing? You are missing out on hangovers. You are missing out on regret. You are missing out on a life of quiet desperation. Isolation is not a prison. It is a cocoon. It is the mandatory dark environment required for your transformation. You go into the dark, you do the brutal work in silence, and you emerge completely unrecognizable to the people who knew you before. Let them call you obsessed. Let them call you crazy. When you are flying a private jet over their heads in 10 years, they will proudly tell everyone they used to know you. Let them talk. You execute. It's not about losing friends. It's about gaining absolute discipline. You have cleaned house. You have cut the anchors. You have accepted that isolation is the required price of entry for the top 1%. You are standing alone in the arena, ready for war. But even in total isolation, the weak mind will try to trick you. Even without your friends dragging you down, you will invent your own reasons to fail. You mastered your environment. Now let's talk about the lies you whisper to yourself in the dark. Chapter 7. Audit your alibis. You have cleaned house. You have cut the anchors. You have accepted that isolation is the required price of entry for the top 1%. You are standing alone in the arena, ready for war. But even in total isolation, the weak mind will try to trick you. Even without your friends dragging you down, you will invent your own reasons to fail. You are still protecting a secret weapon of self-destruction. You are harboring an alibi. What is an alibi? In a courtroom, an alibi is your proof that you were not at the scene of the crime. It is your ultimate excuse. It is your proof of innocence.
But in the brutal, unforgiving court of your own potential, your alibi is your deadliest poison. It is the story you tell yourself to explain why you are not where you want to be. It is the lie you use to justify your mediocrity. Listen to me very carefully. Your alibi is your enemy. Right now, we are going to force you to do a ruthless inventory of your lies. You have deeply guarded excuses that you carry around like a security blanket. You pull them out every time you feel the sting of failure. What is your favorite alibi? Is it I don't have the money? Is it I don't have the time? Is it I have bad genetics? Is it I don't have the right connections? Stop lying to yourself. These are not facts. These are self-constructed prisons. You built these walls yourself. Why? Because an alibi protects your ego from the agonizing pain of effort. If you convince yourself that you are genetically cursed to be overweight, then you do not have to endure the misery of the gym. If you convince yourself that you cannot start a business because you lack startup capital, then you never have to face the terrifying risk of actually launching one. Your alibi is your enemy. It keeps you safe, it keeps you comfortable, and it keeps you completely, utterly average. It's not about your lack of resources, it's about your lack of discipline. You are using your circumstances as a shield against hard work. But let us look at the real world. Let us look at the truth that destroys your excuses entirely. Consider the story of a single mother. She has 2 young children, she has no college degree, she works 3 separate part-time jobs just to keep the lights on and feed her kids. She takes the public bus to work because she cannot afford a car. She sleeps exactly 4 hours a night. By every metric of modern society, this woman has the ultimate alibi. She has the perfect bulletproof excuse to stay exactly where she is and complain about her life. At the exact same time, look at her peers. Look at the wealthy, childless, college-educated 20-somethings living in expensive apartments downtown. What are they doing? They are complaining. They are crying on the internet that they are too busy to start a side hustle. They say they are too stressed to go to the gym. They have all the money, all the time, and all the resources in the world.
Yet what happens? That single mother, operating on 4 hours of sleep, sits down at her kitchen table at 1 a.m. She uses a broken laptop. She teaches herself high-income skills on the internet for free. She builds a massive, multi-million-dollar business while the world is sleeping. How did she do it? She did it because she had to. She refused to use her situation as a crutch. She weaponized her pain. Her total lack of resources became her ultimate resourcefulness. She did not have an alibi. She had a mandate. That's the key. The wealthy peers had comfort, and that comfort made them weak. The mother had desperation, and that desperation was her unfair advantage. It fueled her discipline. When you look at that mother, how dare you complain about your life? How dare you say you do not have time? You have exactly 24 hours in a day, just like she did. You are simply choosing to spend them on meaningless distractions. Your alibi is your enemy. It is a pathetic story you invented to avoid looking in the mirror. You have a choice. You can continue to cradle your excuses, or you can finally crush your goals. You cannot do both. You cannot hold onto your alibi and grab hold of your future at the same time. Your hands are full of garbage. You have to drop it. Here is your behavioral instruction. This is the transformation you must execute right now. You are going to audit your alibis. I want you to literally write down the top 3 excuses you use to explain your lack of success. Write them on a piece of paper. Look at them in plain ink. I am too old. The market is too saturated. I have anxiety. Now, cross them out. Cross them out violently. Beside every single excuse, write the names of 3 people in history who had it worse than you, who faced that exact same obstacle, and who won anyway. The proof is everywhere. Your excuses are completely invalid. Take ownership of your failures. Say it out loud. I am entirely responsible for my life. You don't need their permission. You do not need the universe to hand you a silver platter. You do not need investors. You do not need a perfect genetic profile. You need absolute, unwavering accountability. You must stop outsourcing your failures to your environment. When you blame the economy, you surrender your power to the economy. When you blame your boss, you surrender your power to your boss. Take your power back. Own the problem, and you will own the solution. Your alibi is your enemy. Stop looking for reasons why it cannot work. Start looking for the one brutal, exhausting, uncomfortable way that it will work. It's not about your circumstances. It's about your discipline. An alibi is a surrender document. Rip it up, burn it. You have audited your alibis. You have stripped away every single lie you used to protect your ego. You are completely exposed. You have no excuses left. It is just you and the work. But massive success is terrifying, and looking at the mountain you have to climb can paralyze you. How do you climb a mountain without an excuse to quit? You don't look at the peak. You look at the very next step. You stripped away the lies. Now, let's talk about how to win the invisible wars fought in the trenches of your daily life.
Chapter 8. The Power of Microaggressions Against Laziness. You stripped away the lies. You have no alibis left. You are staring at the mountain. The peak looks impossibly high. Your brain is panicking. How do you climb it? You do not look at the peak. You look at the dirt right in front of your boots. Welcome to the war of attrition. Society has sold you a cinematic lie about success. You think success is a single, massive, heroic event. You think it is the buzzer-beating shot. You think it is the day the company goes public. It is not. That is Hollywood garbage. Success is not a movie montage. It is 1,000 tiny, daily, invisible wars won against the urge to quit. Laziness is not defeated in a grand, spectacular battle. It is defeated through microaggressions. You outwork your excuses by stacking hundreds of micro-victories in the exact moments when absolutely no one is watching, when the crowd is silent, when the lights are off. That is where the war is won. The weak mind negotiates for less. The ruthless mind demands more. You need a new standard. You need a mantra to drown out the weakness. One more. Always one more. Let's look at the real world. Go into any gym. Watch the average person lift weights. They set a goal of 10 repetitions. They hit number 8, it starts to burn. They hit number 9, and they drop the weight at 10. They did exactly what was required. They met the standard. They are completely average. Now, watch the elite. They hit 10. Their muscles are failing. Their brain is screaming at them to drop the iron. What do? They grind out number 11. One more. Always one more. It is the exact same in business. You are making cold calls. Your goal is 50 calls for the day. You hit 50. You are exhausted. You have been rejected 49 times. The clock says 5 o'clock. The weak mind packs up the briefcase. The elite mind picks up the phone and dials. One more. Always one more. You are reading a dense, difficult book to build a high-income skill. Your eyes are heavy. You finish the chapter. Close the book? No. Turn the page. One more. Always one more. Why does this matter? Is one single repetition going to make you Mr. Olympia? Is one single extra cold call going to make you a billionaire? No, it's not about the immediate physical result. It's about the internal discipline. You are not just building muscle. You are building psychological calluses. Every single time you push past the exact point where your brain begged you to stop, you rewrite your own code. You prove to yourself that your perceived limits are an illusion.
That's the key. The compounding effect of this habit is staggering. If you do one more rep, make one more call, write one more paragraph every single day for a decade, you become a monster. You become virtually unstoppable. You create a mathematical gap between you and your competitors that they can never, ever close. You have a choice.
You can be the person who stops at the finish line, or you can be the person who sprints 10 yards past it. You don't need their permission. You do not need your boss to tell you to make the extra call. You do not need your personal trainer to force you to do the extra rep. You demand it of yourself. You are the supreme dictator of your own effort. Here is your behavioral instruction. This is your transformation. Starting today, you live by the +1 protocol. Whatever your daily target is, you add 1. If you plan to run 3 miles, you run 3.1. If you plan to send 20 emails, you send 21. If you plan to work out for 45 minutes, you work out for 46. Break the boundary. Assault your own expectations. Commit a microaggression against your laziness. One more. Always one more. Laziness thrives on exactness. It loves the bare minimum. When you do the bare minimum, you are surviving. When you do the extra rep, you are conquering. This is a literal war of attrition against your own weakness. Attrition means wearing down the enemy through continuous, relentless pressure. Your enemy is the voice inside your head telling you to relax. You crush that voice not with a sledgehammer, but with a million tiny needle pricks. Every extra rep is a strike against your laziness. Every extra page is a strike against your ignorance. Every minute of focus is a strike against your mediocrity. One more. Always one more. People will look at you 5 years from now and wonder how you achieved so much. They will look for the secret strategy. They will look for the hidden advantage. They will never see the thousands of invisible microaggressions you committed in the dark. They will never know about the 11th rep. They will never know about the 51st phone call. Let them wonder. Your results will speak with a volume that absolutely drowns out their questions. You do not need applause. You need execution. It's not about innate talent. It's about relentless discipline. Burn the mantra into your soul. Say it when you wake up. Say it when you are tired. Say it when you desperately want to quit. One more. Always one more. The pain of the extra effort lasts for 5 seconds. The pride of the extra effort lasts forever. The financial and personal rewards of the extra effort compound for generations. You have a choice. Survive the quota or conquer the quota. That's the key. You have weaponized the extra effort. You have turned your daily routine into a relentless war of attrition against your own weakness. You are stacking micro-victories and building an indestructible mind. But all of this effort is completely useless if you are pouring it into the wrong things. You can do the extra rep all day, but if your mind is scattered, you will fail. You mastered the microaggression. Now, let's talk about the silent assassins destroying your attention span.
Chapter 9. Starve your distractions, feed your focus. You mastered the microaggression. You learned how to stack invisible victories. You are grinding out the extra rep, making the extra call, and pushing past the point of failure. But all of this relentless effort is completely useless if you are pouring it into a bucket with a massive hole in the bottom. A warrior with a razor-sharp sword but absolutely zero vision is just swinging blindly in the dark. Welcome to the modern battlefield. It is not a war for your money. It is a war for your attention. Every single day, your ability to do deep, meaningful work is being systematically destroyed. It is being assassinated by cheap dopamine and digital addictions. To outwork your excuses, you must first reclaim your attention span from the algorithms designed to steal it. You must understand the dopamine trap. Right now, your brain is being hijacked. You carry a device in your pocket that is engineered by billionaires to keep you addicted, sedated, and easily distracted. Every ping, every notification, every colorful, infinite scroll is a hit of cheap dopamine. It is unearned pleasure. It conditions your brain to expect an immediate reward for doing absolutely nothing. And when your brain gets used to unearned rewards, it refuses to do hard work. It refuses to focus. Why would your brain want to read a difficult textbook or write a complex business proposal when it can get a massive spike of dopamine just by swiping a finger across a piece of glass? It wouldn't. This is why you feel paralyzed when you sit down to work. It's not about having a short attention span.
It's about practicing absolute environmental discipline. You are letting the noise dictate your life. Turn off the noise, turn on the work. You are a biological organism. If you feed an organism junk food all day, it becomes sick and weak. If you feed your mind digital garbage all day, your focus becomes sick and weak. You must starve your distractions to feed your focus. You have to cut the supply line, turn off the noise, turn on the work. Let us look at the real world. Let us look at the absolute devastation caused by the 3-hour metric. I want you to look at your screen right now. The average person spends roughly 3 hours a day casually scrolling on their phone. It does not feel like 3 hours. It feels like 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, a quick check in the bathroom, a quick scroll while eating lunch, but it adds up. 3 hours a day. Multiply that by 365 days. That is over 1,095 hours a year. Let that sink in. 1,000 hours. Now, imagine two different people. Person A takes those 3 hours a day and feeds their distractions. They consume content. They watch other people live their dreams. They argue with strangers in comment sections. They scroll until their eyes burn. At the end of the year, they have consumed 1,000 hours of absolute garbage. They are no smarter, they are no richer. They are just older, more anxious, and more addicted. They are a consumer.
Person B operates on a different frequency. Person B takes those exact same 3 hours a day and feeds their focus. They lock their phone in another room. They sit in silence. They spend 3 hours every single day mastering a high-income skill. They learn to code. They learn copywriting. They learn digital marketing. They study the stock market. At the end of the year, they have invested 1,000 hours into mastery. What happens to person B? They become untouchable. They become a master of their reality. They have built an economic engine that will print money for the rest of their lives. That's the key. The difference between the billionaire and the bankrupt amateur is not intellect. It is the brutal, uncompromising allocation of their attention. Turn off the noise. Turn on the work. You have a choice. You can be person A or you can be person B. You can be the consumer or you can be the creator. You cannot be both. Every single minute you spend watching someone else execute is a minute you steal from your own empire. Stop being an audience member in the theater of life. Get on the stage. Turn off the noise. Turn on the work. Here is your behavioral instruction. This is the transformation you must execute immediately. Your phone is no longer a pacifier for your boredom. It is a tool. You use the tool. You do not let the tool use you. First, turn off every single non-essential notification on your device. Your phone should never beep unless a human being is calling you with an emergency. You don't need their permission to be unreachable. Society expects you to reply to an email in 3 minutes. Let them wait. Your deep work is infinitely more important than their minor inconvenience. Second, schedule your focus. When you sit down to execute the hardest task of your day, your phone goes into another room, not face down on the desk, not in your pocket, in another room. If you can see the device, your brain is subconsciously burning energy trying to resist checking it. Remove the temptation entirely. Starve the distraction. Third, embrace the boredom. When you stand in line at the grocery store, do not pull out your phone. When you sit in traffic, do not reach for the screen. Let your mind wander. Let your brain reset. The greatest ideas, the million-dollar breakthroughs, they do not happen while you are scrolling. They happen in the silence. They happen when your brain is allowed to process the chaos of reality without being fed digital junk food. Turn off the noise, turn on the work. Make this your permanent operating system. When your hand reaches for the phone because the work is getting difficult, scream this anthem in your head. When you feel the urge to escape the pressure of execution by opening an app, intercept the movement. Turn off the noise, turn on the work. The ability to perform deep, unbroken work for hours at a time is the ultimate superpower of the 21st century. It is the rarest skill on earth. If you master it, you will completely dominate your competition.
They are weak. They are addicted. They cannot focus for 5 minutes without looking at a screen. You will crush them. You will outwork them because you can simply outfocus them. You have reclaimed your attention. You have starved the distractions and fed the beast of your own ambition. You are now a hyper-focused, disciplined machine. You have the tools, you have the mindset, and you have the silence. There is only one thing left. You must cross the threshold where retreat becomes mathematically and psychologically impossible. You mastered your focus. Now, let's talk about burning the boats. Chapter 10. The Point of No Return. You mastered your focus. You starved your distractions. You learned how to execute in the chaos, and you divorced your emotions from your actions. You built an indestructible mind. You have all the weapons required to dominate your life. But there is one final obstacle standing in your way. It is the most dangerous trap of all because it feels like a smart decision. It feels like wisdom. It is your backup plan. Society has programmed you to always have a safety net. Your parents, your teachers, and your peers have all told you the exact same thing. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Have a plan B just in case things don't work out. Play it safe. Listen to me very carefully. Your backup plan is the exact reason your primary plan is failing. When you create a backup plan, you are pre-planning your own defeat. You are psychologically preparing to lose. You are giving your weak mind a verified exit strategy before the battle even begins. When the work gets brutally hard, and it will get brutally hard, your brain will inevitably look for the path of least resistance. If there is a comfortable fallback option available, your brain will take it. You will quit. You will rationalize your failure because the safety net was right there to catch you. It's not about playing it safe. It's about absolute discipline. Absolute discipline requires absolute commitment. If you have an exit strategy, you are not fully committed. You are simply testing the waters. The top 1% of achievers do not test the waters. They dive into the freezing ocean and refuse to get out. Outwork your excuses or die with your regrets. Let us look at history. Let us look at the ultimate blueprint for victory. Look at the ancient commanders and conquerors who led their armies across the ocean to invade enemy territory. They landed on hostile shores. They were massively outnumbered. They were exhausted. The enemy was waiting for them. The soldiers were terrified. Their natural human instinct was to run back to the ships and sail home to safety. What did the elite commanders do? The moment the last soldier stepped off the boat, the commander gave a ruthless, uncompromising order: burn the ships. They watched their only means of escape burn to the ground. They watched the wood turn to ash. Why? Because the commander understood human psychology. He knew that if his men had the option to retreat, they would fight merely to survive. And fighting to survive is not enough to conquer an empire. By burning the boats, he eliminated the option of retreat. He created a scenario where failure through a lack of effort was simply impossible. They had exactly two choices: fight to win or die on the beach. When retreat is mathematically and psychologically impossible, human beings are capable of astonishing feats of endurance and execution. They fought like demons. They won the war. You must adopt the conqueror's blueprint. You must metaphorically burn your ships, outwork your excuses, or die with your regrets. What is your ship? What is the comfortable fallback option you are desperately clinging to? Is it your parents' basement? Is it a mediocre corporate job that barely pays the bills but offers benefits and security? Is it a toxic relationship that you stay in just so you do not have to be alone? These ships are destroying your potential. They are whispering to you every single day that you do not have to give 100% effort because you can always just go back to the way things were. You cannot go back. Going back is death. Going back is the ultimate surrender to mediocrity. You don't need their permission to set your comfortable life on fire. You do not need society's approval to risk everything on your own potential. You have a choice. You can keep your little safety boats docked in the harbor, slowly rusting away, or you can light the match and force yourself to conquer the new territory. That's the key. The people who achieve massive, generational success do so because they give themselves no other option. They sever the bridge behind them. Here is your behavioral instruction. This is your final, brutal transformation. You must identify your plan B today, and you must destroy it. If your goal is to build a massive business, but you are keeping your comfortable 9-to-5 job as a crutch, you will never build the business. You will work on it casually on the weekends. You will treat it like a hobby. You must burn the boat. Set a hard, non-negotiable date to quit your job. Tell everyone you know. Make a public commitment. Put your reputation on the line. If your goal is to achieve elite physical fitness, but your house is full of junk food just in case you have a bad day, you are going to eat the junk food. Burn the boat. Throw the garbage in the dumpster right now. Cancel the fallback option. When you eliminate the safety net, you will experience a terrifying spike of adrenaline. You will feel genuine fear. Good. Use that fear. Fear is a spectacular source of energy when it has nowhere to hide. When you look behind you and see nothing but smoke and ashes, you will realize that the only way out is through. You will stop negotiating with your alarm clock. You will stop waiting for perfect conditions. You will stop listening to your feelings. You will simply put your head down and march forward, because going backward is no longer an option. Outwork your excuses or die with your regrets. This is the ultimate ultimatum. This is the entire philosophy of your new life condensed into a single sentence. You have exactly one life. You have a limited number of days. If you spend those days making excuses, catering to your weakness, and protecting your ego, you will reach the end of your life completely consumed by regret. You will look back at all the things you could have been, the empire you could have built, the body you could have possessed, and the legacy you could have left. The pain of that regret is a hell far worse than any physical exhaustion you will ever experience. Do not let that happen to you. Draw the line in the sand today. Light the match. Burn the boats. Outwork your excuses or die with your regrets. You have a choice. Live as a coward or execute as a king. The point of no return is right here, right now. Step across the line. Outwork your excuses or die with your regrets. You have traversed the entire anatomy of a weak mind and forged it into an unstoppable weapon. You burned the boats. You are standing on the beach. There is no going back. The lessons are over. Now, let's talk about the only thing that actually matters from this second forward.
You have listened to the words. Now comes the only part that actually matters, the execution. We have stripped away every lie, every justification, and every pathetic alibi you've used to explain your mediocrity. Your alarm clock is no longer a suggestion. Your feelings are no longer a factor. The perfect time is a myth, and motivation is a scam for amateurs. From this second forward, you operate on a different frequency. You don't negotiate with weakness. You execute in the chaos. You do it anyway. You are the architect of your reality, and your blueprint requires sweat, isolation, and an uncompromising standard of discipline. So here is your challenge. Turn this audio off, put your phone away, and do the hardest task on your list right now. No hesitation, no complaints, just action. Outwork your excuses or die with your regrets. Now get to work.